Welcome to the guiding videos of the map reading modules. In today's video, we are going to tell you something about the cross sections. So cross section actually is not a specific concept only for geography subject because I know that some of you may already learn that in your math subjects. So actually, what is cross section? So it means that if you use a knife to cut something into half, and then the surface that actually in touch with the knife are called the cross sections. So why do we have to use this concept in our subject? Because last time I told you that many features on map are actually 3D because actually all the things we see are 3D in reality. But map is just a piece of paper, so it cannot show 3D things on the map. And instead, it can also display all the land features in 2D form. So last time I told you that you can use your imagination because right here you can see the contour line showing the height of different regions. So if you have good imagination, if you have good 3D mindset or 3D concept, you can then try to imagine there is a hill here, and right here you can see a slope. But I also understand that for some of the students, you may find it difficult to imagine the actual shape of this hill. So we can then use the cross section to help, because by studying the cross section, we can then able to know the shape of the land and also the relief features across them. So in order to draw a cross section, we can find a random two point on the map. So just like right here, we have point A here and point B here. And then we should also draw a straight line between them. And the first step would be we have to find a paper strip. So just like last time, we can just tear the bottom part of a random paper A4 paper, and then we can then get a paper strip. So when you place this paper strip along the line, please make sure this paper strip touches point A and point B. And please also mark down the corresponding height of these two points. So right here you can see point A actually falls on the contour, the 800-meter contour lines. So you can mark 800 here, and for point B you can mark 200 here. And also, other than the start point and the end point, please also mark down every intersection with the contour lines. So right here you can see the 7-meter contour line actually touches the paper strip at right this point here. So please mark a label here and also write down 700. And you can see right here the 600-meter contour line touches the paper strip right here at this point. So marks a label here and then also write down 600. And then you should make sure all points are also marked on the paper strip, so no contour line are missed. And then for some special features, just like the wafer right here, you can also mark down at this point here, the wafer are also intersect with the paper strip. So right here you can also see the label for wafer. And if you see these special scenarios, because sometimes you may see two points of the same height. So if you can see right here, you found some consecutive points of the same height. Just like right here, you can find three consecutive points all of 500 meters. So please make sure you also understand whether the regions between them are higher or lower, because we have to understand the relief uh, of shape. So we have to understand whether this region are going up or going down. So right here, you can see the region between the first 500 points and the second 500 points are actually getting closer to 400. So actually, the region behind the first two points are actually lower than 500 meters. So we should then mark showing downs label here. And for the regions here, the region between the second 500 point and the third 500 point. So right here, you can see actually this area belongs to the areas between the 500-meter contour lines and the 600-meter contour line. So actually, this region should be higher than 500 meters. So please also marks upward arrow label here to show that actually this region are higher than 500 meters. So if you finish all the markings, so we can then move on to the next step. So the next step would be you have to take a random piece of blank A4 paper, or to make it more convenient, you can also find a graph paper, because we have to draw a frame for the cross sections. So you have to make sure that the width of the frame should be the same as the distance between A and B. So the width of the frame should be in line with the distance between these two points. Okay, and then you have to determine the vertical scale. So if you're doing this step, you have to pay attention to the maximum number and also the minimum number you mark on the paper strip, because you have to know what kind of scale you may need to use. Because right here, if you use the scale 1 to 100 meters, so this frame will be too large. So you have to draw a very large frame in order to finish the entire cross section. But right here you can see the maximum number is 800 and the minimum is 200. So for this case, 1 cm to 20 meter may be a very good vertical scale. So you should use your ruler and place it vertically. So for each cm, so please also mark the label here and write down 200 next to the first cm. And the second CM also write down 400 meters, 600 meter, and so on. So you can then have the vertical scale. So the next step would be plotting all the points from the paper strip onto the frame. So right here you can see point A actually of 800-meter height. So you can mark the label here showing that point A is 800 meters. And for the second point here is actually of 700-meter height. So you can then make sure this point is just vertically above this point, and then it reaches the zone of 700 meters. So repeating this step, and you can then uh, have a frame just look like here. And we have almost finished. So the last step will be join all the points with a smooth curved line. So please make sure that the line connecting these points are smooth, because for this procedure, you don't have to use a ruler. Because if you use a ruler, the line will be too straight. And actually, we are drawing a cross section of some natural relief objects here. So we don't expect some natural slope would be that straight. So things naturally should be curved or should be uh, not that straight. So we should make sure that when we're joining the lock points here, we don't have to use our ruler. And do you still remember we have marked downward arrow labels and also upward arrow labels on the paper strip? The reason why we have to do it is because we have to determine whether these regions are convex or concave. So right here, we understand that the area between these two points should be of lower height. So actually, these should be a concave regions. So we have to make sure that the line here should be lower than 500 meters. And for the region between the second and the third 500-meter point, so right here, it is upward arrow label. So the area in between should be convex instead. So you should make sure the line here are upper or higher than 500 meters. So that's why we have to do this. So finally, we can also mark down if there is a river in between. So we can then have a very clear pictures about the shape of that relief regions. And finally, don't forget to add a title for the cross section. And we can also know whether two points are indivisible by drawing the cross sections, because the meaning of indivisible means that whether two people standing on these two points can see each other. So when you can draw a straight line between these two points, that means people standing on these two points can see each other, and these two points are indivisible. But sometimes you can see the relief object may block uh, the line. So for this case, two points are not indivisible, and these two people here cannot see each other. So this is some kind of minor application that may be useful when you are going to the countryside. So I think that's all we have to share with you today, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.